From 1987 to 1991, I had a Nintendo Entertainment System. And during this time, I had a wonderful and memorable experience that I still cherish to this day. Everything was amazing with the Nintendo until about the end of 1989 and the beginning of 1990. This is of course because the Sega Genesis and Turbo Grafx 16 were out and about making their presence felt in magazines such as Electronic Gaming Monthly and GamePro. And it wasn't until Christmas morning of 1991 where my journey into the 16-bit generation began. I was blessed with the Turbo Grafx 16 and Legendary X. Ever since that day, the Turbo Grafx 16 has left an impact on me, and this system is easily in my top 5. The graphics look so amazing to me compared to what I just had with my Nintendo, and the graphics were always the main focus back then, when we'd argue over which systems are best or which game is best. Those are truly great times in gaming for me, in such a memorable area. So today I'm going to share with you 4 games that to me are some of the best looking games in the Turbo Grafx 16 library and 16-bit generation. So, of course, sit back, relax. It's now time for another retro-powered rewind. Ninja Spirit was released for the Turbo Grafx 16 in 1990 and developed by Irem. This is one of the first games I was exposed to through Electronic Gaming Monthly and GamePro. I took notice at how amazing the graphics looked in this game, and then when I bought this on Christmas vacation with my paper route money, I played it for the first time and was amazed. I was amazed, and what stuck out to me the most was the gameplay in addition to the graphics. This game is amazing. It's quick, it's responsive, it's so much fun. Here you play as a samurai, where you have multiple weapons at your disposal to exact revenge on the enemies that killed your father. You can use katanas, you can use flying guillotines, you can use bombs and ninja stars. You collect power-ups, where you can get shadow clones, and upgrade your weapons. The main focus here is the graphics. The graphics are nothing less than amazing. The character sprites are detailed and have great animation. The stages are large and detailed with different environments. Our journey takes place in forests, caves, old temples, buildings, mountains, and through swamps. The backgrounds look amazing, they look hand-drawn, and you feel immersed in this world. This is the game where you could argue with Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo owners that Ninja Spirit is just as good or better than its rivals' best games. The star of the show is the bosses. The bosses are huge compared to the other characters. There's large sprites with highly detailed, and they look amazing. This game shows the capability of the Turbo Grafx 16 when the games are made how they're supposed to be. This game is top-tier graphics on any system. Now for an added bonus, this game boasts an amazing soundtrack. I'm going to play you a few examples of why the soundtrack is amazing. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some of this amazing music. Bonk's Revenge was released in 1991 for the Turbo Grafx 16 and is an action platforming game. Here you play as our hero Bonk, and you're out to save the world again, this time from King Drool III, who is planning to take over the Earth with his army and create a moon base. What sticks out to me most, besides the graphics, is the gameplay. The controls are quick and responsive, there's hardly any slowdown, and when you press the attack or jump button, the response is quick and no delay. Bonk has new moves at his disposal. You could climb with your teeth by pressing the jump button. You can spin around branches on your teeth so you can climb vertically. You can bounce off walls. You get your power-ups by eating meat. Your first power-up stage, Bonk can release smoke that freezes his enemies. His second power-up stage is the final form, and he can breathe fire and is invincible for a short period of time, and can also freeze the ground once you do a Bonk drop to it. Every stage you collect smiley faces, and the more you collect, the more bonus stages you'll be able to get to once you defeat the boss. This game is so much fun. I've never been bored playing this game. Even now, it's one of the most fun games on the system. The sound is good, and I enjoy the relaxing yet upbeat tunes in this game. The graphics are impressive. Bonk is one of those games where, before I got a Turbo Grafx 16, Bonk's Adventure was that game where I kept seeing it in the Turbo Express ad, and I was amazed at how large the sprites were. Especially that scene where the dinosaur is opening his mouth so Bonk can go in and swim through his stomach. Now, you have multiple different enemies to fight in this game. They're called chickens. And basically, there's a variety of them. They could be out fishing or surfing, catching bugs. Some even hide as snowmen and then ambush you when you're least expecting it. There's dinosaurs, there's flying dinosaurs, running dinosaurs, and other wildlife you'll encounter. The environments are bright with a prehistoric tone to them, but with a modern twist. I always enjoyed how these graphics make things look lighthearted, but is actually dangerous for our hero Bonk. The water in some stages look inviting to swim in, but beware, there are man-eating piranhas in those waters. Unfortunately, there is no scrolling or scaling, and some backgrounds are still with no movement. This would have made the game look even better than it already does, but it is a minor gripe and does not take away from the graphical presentation in this game. I love the large, bright sprites, and this is easily one of my favorite games of the 16-bit generation. And the Bonk games actually made me love the Turbo Grafx 16 and solidify it as one of my favorite systems ever. Bonk is easily one of the best mascots ever that can rival Mario and Sonic. I highly recommend Bonk's Adventure and Bonk's Revenge. Soldering Blade was released in 1992 for the Turbo Grafx 16 and is a vertical space shoot 'em up. Here you play as the starship Soldering Blade, and your job is to save Earth from the alien invasion. This game is simply amazing. There's two types of shooters. that you had to choose from back then: vertical scrolling and horizontal scrolling. This game is one of the best vertical scrolling shooters ever. The graphics here are simply amazing. The Turbo Grafx 16 really has outdone itself with this presentation. Every sprite in this game is detailed and vibrant. They all stick out with their bright colors and detailed appearance. The environments look amazing. They're detailed and display war-torn scars throughout the landscapes. For example, in the city scenes, the streets have craters in them and the buildings are all torn up from the war. Your ship is extremely detailed and looks amazing. The real impressive work though in this game is the bosses. These bosses are large and in charge. They are highly detailed and have great animation. The graphics are so amazing here that even sometimes when the boss arrives on the scene, the environment is affected. For example, when the boss arrives under cloud cover, you can see the clouds disperse due to its sheer mass. Simply amazing what the Turbo Grafx 16 pulled off here. It's impressive to see that the Turbo Grafx 16 created such a beautiful looking game that can rival its counterparts that are on the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. This game is a visual spectacle and I highly recommend playing this game, especially if you like vertical shoot 'em ups. This is one of the best games in the Turbo Grafx 16 library. And as a bonus, this game has an amazing soundtrack. So here are a few examples, so sit back and enjoy. Street Fighter II Champions Edition was released in 1993 for the PC Engine in Japan. Unfortunately, this game wasn't ported to the Turbo Grafx 16 or to North America. In this version, you can choose from the original 12 characters, and what makes this game stand out is the original names are used for the bosses. For example, M. Bison is now Vega, Vega is now Balrog, and Balrog is now M. Bison. Back in this era, one way to solidify how good of a system the Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, or Turbo Grafx 16 was to have a port released of Street Fighter II. It is quite impressive that the PC Engine can play a game that was made 3 to 4 years after the PC Engine was released in Japan on old hardware. This game is amazing, it's fun. I mean, I love Street Fighter, so every time I play it's fun. The sound unfortunately is as good as the SNES or Genesis, but the gameplay sticks out to me besides the graphics because this game held its own against the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. One drawback though, if you don't have the Turbo Grafx 6-button controller, then you're going to have to get used to pressing select to switch your punch and kick button on the fly. This could get a little challenging. You won't be able to do as quick combos as you normally would. However, the graphics in this game, simply amazing. Once they released this and they compared it to the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, it was easy to see that the PC Engine could pull off similar type aesthetics that its counterparts can. The sprite work is amazing, and there are detailed sprites that make this a standout in the PC Engine library. The characters look amazing for a home port, and all of the background stages also look amazing. For a home port, this was quite the presentation, and it still stands the test of time even today. When I was capturing footage for this video, I was thinking how amazing this would have been for Turbo Grafx 16 owners if it was released in the United States back when it was released. It might have boosted the sales of Turbo Grafx to stay competitive with the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. This is a showpiece in the PC Engine library, and if you do have the 6-button controller, I highly recommend playing this game. This game is quite the impressive showing, considering it's from a system that is deemed inferior to its Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis counterparts. Street Fighter II Champion Edition was released on a 20 megabit hue card, making it the largest hue card in the PC Engine library. And it definitely shows with its amazing graphics, its amazing gameplay, and overall presentation of a faithful adaptation of an arcade classic.